Riyan Azzouz has a great outlook on life, and his is one with unique challenges and circumstances. Today, you'll learn about his involvement in a first-of-its-kind trial involving his heart that could affect the future treatments for people living with his rare disease. He's living for today, fighting for tomorrow. Good morning, I'm Alexis Del Cid. Welcome back to All Things Heart. Riyan Azzouz is living with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's a disease that weakens every muscle in his body, including his heart. Riyan is also taking active steps to help change the future for many other people who face the same diagnosis. That includes joining his second clinical trial that targets his heart. Riyan Azzouz knew from the time he was very little that something wasn't right with his legs.
I knew before I was diagnosed that there was something wrong because I couldn't keep up with the other kids.
But if you thought this story was going to be maudlin, Riyan wants nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, we were joking about that for a few days. She's probably gonna put sad music over the whole thing.
We had to pick a music. What would you want?
Yeah, you don't want his music.
Rap.
In fact, the 24-year-old's biggest wish, along with his mom's, is that people would quit being so awkward around him.
Oh, one time this guy patted me on the head and he said, "God bless you." I was like, "Don't touch me, please."
Yeah.
You know, he's not miserable and I'm not miserable and we have fun and he's hilarious and I laugh more than I cry by a long shot.
Hi. Oh, hi.
Riyan lives with the neuromuscular disease Duchenne muscular dystrophy, also known as DMD. It's progressive, there is no cure, and the disease is now affecting his heart. Riyan has cardiomyopathy, meaning his heart is enlarged and not pumping as effectively as it should. Renee says she knew something was wrong with her son when he was 4.
He broke 4 bones within a span of about a year and a half.
The doctors told her it was nothing to worry about, that some kids were just, in their words, clumsy. When he was 7, different doctors finally diagnosed him correctly. At 12, Riyan lost the ability to walk.
When he stopped walking, we had gone on a vacation.
When he was 16 and driving an adaptive car, he realized his arms were starting to go as well.
I was driving out and it was really hard to turn that one day.
Riyan is now under the care of a team of specialists at the University of Kansas Health System, led by his cardiologist, Dr. Pradeep Maman. He's determined to do what he can to help doctors and scientists find a cure or even prevent others from developing DMD in the first place. And he's enrolled in his second clinical trial for people living with Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
I just want to, help push the science forward.
The trial, a one-time injection of a new medication into Riyan's heart through a vein in his arm. Dr. Maman and his team will monitor him over the next 5 years to see if the medication improves his heart function. No matter the outcome of the trial, for Riyan and his mom, this is not a sad story. It's a story of grace, strength, happiness, and finding the light in the sometimes absurd.
When he's out, the kids will go, "That's not fair, he has a wheelchair."
And you're right, it's not.
We are so happy to have Riyan and his mom, Renee, here in the studio with us this morning. Riyan, you're a 25-year-old guy and you're a night owl, so thanks for waking up early.
Yeah.
This is very early for a guy in his 20s. We also have cardiologist Dr. Pradeep Maman, who is leading the trial. Thank you for being here. And we're joined by neurologist Dr. Jeff Statland, who's working with Dr. Maman in this trial. Riyan, I do want to start with you. When you agreed to join the show and share your story, what was the most important thing you wanted people to know? Besides not using weepy music at the beginning.
Just, normal guy. Just trying to, do my part.
Just navigating the world like everyone else, but you have your own unique challenges living with Duchenne. Renee, what about you?
I wanted to be able to see what, the science is progressing and what could be exciting for us is also potentially exciting for the next people who will need these types of research to be able to get, their lives improved and to be able to do well.
Sure, better quality. Look for better treatments. Riyan is the first person in the United States in this trial?
That's correct. He's the first one in
the world. Then, are you the only doctor doing this trial?
There are 3 centers in the U.S. that are enrolling patients, but Riyan is the first one to be enrolled in the U.S.
How many patients are involved now in addition to Riyan?
Yeah. So this is a phase 1 trial, so it's a safety trial, and so there are only going to be 12 patients that are enrolled initially.
Dr. Statland, let's talk about how Duchenne MD affects the body. You've shared with us it's more than just one muscle or one organ. It hits everything.
Yeah, so I mean, people often think of it as a disease of skeletal muscle, and this is the way the boys often come to us. They're having trouble doing things like get up off the floor, maybe they can't keep up with their friends. As it progresses later, then maybe trouble reaching up or doing things with their arms or their hands. But the protein that's coded by the gene DMD, and this is the mutation leads to an absence of this protein, it's in other tissues of the body. It's in the cardiac muscle, it's in the muscles that help us breathe. So it's really a multi-system disease. And the number one thing that we've done, other than the trials that are going on now to help our boys and young men with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, is to implement multidisciplinary care. This means the people who are really experts in the different organ systems are making decisions about what we should do for care. So we were really thrilled when Dr. Mammon came to KU with his program. He's nationally known researcher in cardiac complications for Duchenne, and so we were very excited about the collaborations.
You said boys and young men. Does this ever affect women?
So women can carry the mutation. They can have symptoms, though. I think traditionally people thought of as carriers as maybe they weren't affected, but they can have weakness depending on the individual, and they can have cardiac complications as they get older.
With women being able to carry it, Renee, have you been able to do any genetic investigating to see where, I hate to say where he got it from, because that blames a person in the family and it's nobody's fault, but do you know where this came from?
I believe it's about 30% are not related to genetic, that's not passed on through the family, and I'm one of those. I'm not a carrier.
Wow.
And we've, even my daughter, we've been able to test, and she's not, is not affected either. So it is
just random. Just happened. Riyan, what was the injection like?
I mean, it felt weird going in, but I mean, it was fine besides that.
And where was it? Your forearm? What arm did they?
They went in through my right wrist first, but then that didn't work, so they tried my left wrist.
And you said it felt a little weird at first. What did it feel like?
Just something crawling through me. That's kind of what I felt, but.
Okay. Sometimes you can feel that in anesthesia. You feel it kind of a warmth going through you before you go under. Was this an infusion or is this a shot?
Yeah, so unlike a lot of the other trials, gene therapy trials, where it's a systemic, you put an IV, in this study, we actually passed a catheter through the radial artery and into his heart, and we injected the drug directly into his heart, into 2 of the 3 heart arteries directly.
Okay. You were awake for this?
Kind of.
Thing?
It's like partially sedated, I think.
It's so interesting to me. Can you feel anything happening in your heart when that's happening?
No.
Okay.
I just felt it going in.
Going in. How often is someone from the research team then calling your house and checking in?
We go in, initially we were going in weekly and then every other week and then monthly, and now we're at about 6 months. So initially it was we were coming in frequently to follow up, but more recently our next appointment's not till May.
Sure.
So yeah.
And Riyan, have you felt any different now that you're 6 months out?
No, but they weren't expecting.
Weren't expecting a feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to risks, how were the risks explained to you, Renee, for this specific trial?
Well, Dr. Maman, went through, extensively what our potential risks were, but we also got a nice packet of, of information about what potential risks were. I think for this trial, the difference was that it is a little more invasive because it was a cardiac cath versus, either a pill or an IV or something like that. So it's a little bit more invasive, but it is also a pretty standard procedure to do a cardiac cath, and so we felt fairly comfortable with the explanation and with our support system.
What kind of feelings did you have about being the first one in the country to do it?
I mean, felt special, I guess, but
yeah,
to be chosen for the first, but
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Dr. Maman, you said you're in phase 1. When does phase 2 start, and what does that involve?
So that'll be after this phase 1 trial ends in about 5 years, because we want to make sure the safety is good and that we can move to a phase 2. To be honest, this particular drug has actually been tested through an IV in a larger population with other types of cardiomyopathy patients. And so we had a pretty good understanding about the safety. The difference between this study and the previous studies were this is more invasive. We directly injected this drug into the heart. And so we had to kind of start all over in a phase 1, make sure that was safe, even though it's been tested in a larger population.
Dr. Statland, as a neurologist, how closely do you work with cardiologists treating DMD patients? What is your specific focus?
Yeah, so I run our Muscular Dystrophy Association clinic. I always tell people when they come in and see me, it's really going to be a team approach to care. So in our clinic, we have physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, nutritionists, social worker, respiratory therapists, equipment vendors, and then we build the team of experts that will help the young men as they get older. So we work hand in hand with cardiology, with pulmonology. We may have endocrinology helping because remember the muscles and bones have a very intimate relationship, and so the bones can be affected as people get older. And so it's really a whole medical team that will work together to make the plan of care for an individual.
Why just 12 people in this specific trial?
I think when they did the stats and all, it turned out that we needed 12 patients. 6 are going to get the drug, 6 are going to be placebo, meaning they're not getting the drug, to see is there any difference? Is there any difference in side effect profile? And 12 was the number that would give us a statistical number to get some answers from the study.
We know DMD patients are living longer. They're having better quality because of intervention. What does earlier intervention look like?
Yeah, so early intervention is really critical. So we know working closely with our pediatric cardiologists, starting the series of medications to protect the heart is important. But despite our current guidelines of how we treat the heart is almost always the final demise for many DMD patients. And so looking for newer therapies to improve their heart function is really critical. And Riyan's really been able to lead that way for the country, because the only way we're going to be able to advance care in this field is having volunteers like Riyan test some of these novel therapies, and hopefully we will have a breakthrough.
We already have some community questions coming in and some questions from our viewers online. If you want to send a question or a comment that you'd like us to read out loud on the program, you can send it to us on YouTube or on Facebook, or you can go to the All Things Heart email. The links on how you can connect with us in real time are right there on your screen. So Riyan, how did you learn about the trial?
I think we were at Dr. Statland, and he told us about it. And, sounded interesting.
You've done other trials before. How many trials have you done? Is this
just one other?
Okay, so this is your second trial. What is it that inspires you to continue to say yes?
Well, the hope of getting better, but also, helping maybe others. So
change the future.
Yeah.
Renee, Riyan's an adult, so he can say yes to these things on his own. How old was he for the first trial?
He was in middle school, and we were trying to remember, about 13 when we did the initial trial. We did for an exon skipping medication called eteplirsen, and it has been now FDA approved. So,
oh, nice.
But he was one of 10 patients in the non-ambulatory part of that trial, and so yeah.
What did that involve? Was that a pill, an injection?
It's an infusion. He continues to get weekly. It's a weekly infusion that he continues to get. That we drove to Iowa City for almost 2 years weekly to get that. But
wow.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to make that commitment and join this trial? As a mom, I would imagine there's all sorts of mixed emotions when you hear trial and it's your child, and then you're cross-country driving once a week.
Yeah. I had done a lot of looking into upcoming possibilities that would be helpful, and that was one that I got very excited about. And I initially didn't think we were going to be part of it because they weren't initially taking, non-ambulatory young men at that point, and
when you say non-ambulatory, for our audience without a medical background, what do you mean by that?
Not able to walk, and in this case, it was a certain distance that he wouldn't be able to walk. I don't remember the exact amount but you had to be able to walk a certain distance in a certain amount of time, and if you couldn't do that, then you were not considered eligible for that trial, and so yeah.
Riyan, when we look at pictures that you've shared with us, first of all, you're super interesting and active. You do things like you go hunting with your friends, and you have a social life that you enjoy doing all sorts of things. You just got back from a cruise with your mom. Do you remember when you were little, when things started to go wrong with your legs? What's your biggest memory of that?
Just not being able to keep up with the other kids, and yeah.
It was a frustrating path to a diagnosis, Renee. You were told you had a child that was breaking bones, and you were told it's just clumsy.
He was just clumsy, and they have kids like that sometimes, and they weren't worried about it initially. And as a mother, I kind of knew something was not right.
You had your intuition.
Yeah.
Was telling you
Yep.
to keep going. When you finally do get a diagnosis, I remember when we met at your house, we talked about this. You're glad to have an answer, but it's certainly not the answer that you want.
But at least we know what we need to do next. I mean, we can make a plan from there. Before, we just knew something wasn't right. He had broken his femur. He couldn't get up and walk as quickly as he should have been able to. It was just a very slow process to get back from that, and so we knew there was something.
Sure, and then you got the diagnosis. Yeah. When we talk about early intervention and getting these treatments and getting in to see doctors early, how old was Riyan when he was diagnosed? How old were you, Riyan?
What was I, like?
7.
You were 7, and when did you start breaking bones? How old were you?
I think that was around.
You were 4 when. 4. Well, the femur was when he was 4. So we're between 3 and 4. He broke several. His humerus, his clavicle, his femur. He went through. And
That's
just from simple falls. I mean, he slipped on a hanger to break his femur, so it was not like he fell out of a tree or something. It was simple falls.
That's something you hear happening when you're in your 90s, slipping and breaking your femur, not when you're 7.
Yeah.
Does that then? It took about 4 or 5 years for the diagnosis. Dr. Mammon, does that count as an early diagnosis for early intervention, or would you prefer this diagnosis to be even earlier?
Yeah. So from a heart standpoint. Dr. Statland can speak to the skeletal muscle, but from a heart standpoint, we know that treating as early as possible, even before the heart has evidence of dysfunction, meaning it's not pumping well, we know that starting medications earlier may delay onset of the heart gaining weak. And so most of the pediatric cardiologists will start heart failure medications around 8 to 10, but we're actually trying to push that even earlier, and there's a push to start some of these meds as early as 6 years old, with the hope that these drugs will delay onset of a very weak heart, and so prolong kind of that heart function.
How do you get the word out, Dr. Statland, to other doctors across the country where we have all these specific clinics and experts here at the health system that seem to very easily diagnose people when all else fails, people come here and they've been kind of philandering for years. How do you get the word out then nationally so that the doctor isn't telling a mom like Renee, well, it's just your son's being clumsy?
Yeah, you try to increase awareness. There's advocacy groups that help. There's the Parent Project for Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy, the Muscular Dystrophy Association. We go and give talks around the country and talk to people. I think as we have these true disease-modifying therapies, drugs that are increasing dystrophin in the body or that are targeting the key pathological pathways, I mean, I think everyone's in agreement. If you can treat people before there's damage, it's going to be better. And so the earlier, the better. I think boys used to come in at about 7. That was about the average age we would see them, because that's when physically they're just not able to keep up. But now, it's earlier and earlier. We'll start treating as early as 3 years old, and there's a movement to even try to identify and treat the boys earlier.
Often people will view a clinical trial as a last resort. Is that always the case, or can that be a first try?
Yeah, so short of a cure, I think research is really part of our standard of care. So in our clinic, we have research coordinators who participate in the clinic. I think you have to offer people opportunities. We've been a very active Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy Research Center at KU. We always have at least 2 to 3 trials active, and we do right now as well. And so we always try to increase awareness. We meet with the families. You have to first talk a little bit about what's going on and make sure they understand it. But then the next conversation is about research and what the role of research might be.
I want to get to some of our community questions and our comments, and we have a couple of viewers. Well, one, Ruth Allen wants to share something with you all about Ryan's name. I know you didn't have anything to do with your name, but Renee, props to you as mom. She writes, I saw on a poster the spelling of Ryan's name. I love it. It's pretty unique. And Ryan, thank you for sharing your journey. So you spell your name R-I-Y-A-N.
Yeah.
That's a unique spelling of Ryan, but it is pretty cool. How'd you come up with that? I always like a backstory on the names.
His dad is from overseas, and he had determined that that's how it was supposed to be spelled in his country, and I don't know that that is true after doing a little
Too
research.
late now.
But it was spelled like that at that. So anyway,
Ryan, we have a question from Jeremy. Jeremy wants to know, what are some of the coolest adaptive techniques or technology that you use? And can you tell us about any customizations on things that you've done that you're particularly proud of? You had a cool room when we were in there. You do a lot of neat things. So first off, what are some of the neat adaptive techniques that help you get around?
Just determination, pretty much.
Creativity and determination of, if he needs to figure out how to get it done, he'll figure out how to get it done. Now in his car, we had some, creative, he had hand steering, he had reduced effort steering, he had some of those things that would make it easier for him to be able to drive.
Who's the other person in the wheelchair with you? There are some pictures of you.
Emerson is his good friend.
Your buddy.
His good friend that he does a lot, and we do the traveling with him, that kind of thing. So
you had the best selection of pictures that I've seen in a while. I mean, you're the first person to send a picture of a bird on their head. How are you able to go hunting? You like hunting, and there was even, was that a buck, or what was on your wall?
Yeah, it was the antlers of the buck.
How do you go hunting in your wheelchair?
Well, my friend, they have a hunting property that they wanted me to go with them.
So Emerson also has, the same muscular dystrophy that Ryan does, and so they have modified their hunting cabin to be able to be wheelchair accessible, which was really nice.
Neat. That's really neat.
Yeah.
And what do you make on your 3D printer? When we were in there, you have so many gadgets in your room, and one's a 3D printer. What do you like making on that?
Well, I'm making like a model of the Saturn V rocket right now.
Oh, wow. So, how'd you get into that?
Just saw it online.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Do you have a lot of friends that have DMD?
Yeah.
And where did you meet your good friend?
At the MDA camp that they used to have.
Okay. Marie has a question about recruitment. She wants to know, is it harder to recruit people for a trial when it's a procedure rather than taking a pill?
That's a great question. And, you know, yes, to some degree it's a little bit more challenging. But in rare diseases like DMD, the only way we're going to make advances in the care and survival of these patients is engaging in these innovative therapies. And I think to the credit of the DMD community and individuals like Riyan and Renee, they have stepped up to are willing to undergo these types of therapies in the hope that we're going to find newer therapies. So yes, it is a little, in the general sense, you are right, invasive procedures tend to be a little harder to recruit. But in this disease process, in this rare disease where there's limited therapies, it has not been much of a challenge for us recruiting patients.
As Dr. Satlin, you said the treatment is the trial.
And well, in some instances, I mean, I think the field's changing a little now because there are a number of approved therapies, but there's no one therapy that's just, you know, changing the disease for everyone. They're often targeted to mutations, like the therapy he's taking is only for certain boys who have a mutation that's amenable to the therapy. We're starting to get more tools, and so I think it's a plus and minus. It's excellent to offer the care. It's a harder decision for families, though, because they're having to think about the therapies that are there, the risks, the benefits, and then what those therapies won't do, and then adding, you know, a clinical trial on top of it. But most of these families, you know, they're very engaged and they take part in the whole process. And I think that there's a lot of people who are dedicated to helping us find treatments for the next generation who have the disorder.
Becca has a question for you, Riyan. She writes, Ryan's very clear about wanting to be treated like everyone else. So Riyan, do you have any specific things, she asks, that you can think of that other people do that drives you nuts?
We'd be here all day if I listed them all, but just, well, what is some of them?
We talked about infantilizing you, treating you like you're 4 when you're 20. You're 25 now, or still 24?
24 right now, but.
One example would be he was driving one day, and we were at the getting gas, and I had to help him get gas, and so I was there with him, and so this person says, "Look, it's a 10-year-old driving in the car," and you know, just
13,
very just
out of pocket thing.
Yeah,
people
out of
say
pocket.
things, or even the comments about driving when he was in a scooter. Somebody said. He said,
or even getting a kid's cup at restaurants.
Or giving your kids cups at restaurants. But
do you get a kid's cup at restaurants still?
Yeah.
Once in a while. Once in a while they'll still, not. But again, I do understand people can't tell his age, and medications. There've been reasons why he's had some delays of because of the medications he's been on, and so I do understand a little bit. But even just the insensitivity of people who the patting on the head, or asking him if he was in a 4-wheeler accident, or all kinds of things that people just don't think about. I mean, he just wants to be. He wants people to come up and talk to him about the things that everybody else is talking about, not
other things.
Yeah.
Well, I can see where that would be super insulting to have someone come up and pat you on the head.
Yeah.
You're a grown man. God bless you.
Yeah.
That's very treating him like he's a child, treating you like you're a child.
Yeah.
So that's just something for other people to keep in mind, that that's what
he wants to talk about music, or he wants to talk about what he's doing, or activities, or so.
Yeah. I want to get to today's takeaways because this conversation is so interesting. I want to start with Riyan. What is the most important thing you want people watching to take away from your journey and from your story?
I'm just a normal person, but trying to do my part for others.
Normal guy. Renee?
Yeah. I think what I hope is that people will look at research, and this is the only hope that we have, is the research, and continue funding it, continue working to help us be able to provide opportunities that, we've only been doing this 15 years, 16 years, I guess, 17 years since, you know, that we've known. And in that time, we've seen amazing things happen already in our field. And so I'm just hoping that that continues. And some of it will probably be too late for Riyan, but there's going to be other families like ours that need these treatments, so that maybe their child doesn't have to be in a wheelchair, or maybe their child doesn't have to be in a wheelchair for many years after that, or, you know, the quality of life just improves. So.
And we've seen the advancements because of one of the trials you did. That medication is now FDA approved.
Yes.
Your first trial.
Yeah.
Dr. Statlin, what do you want our viewers to know?
I think I just want to echo that. You know, I think it's a very hopeful time. We're seeing, you know, advances in our technology, our ability to do things for genetic diseases that, you know, 10 years ago would have been thought to be impossible. You know, going into the cell, altering how genes are processed, how, you know, what genes are there and which ones are active. And, you know, these are real advancements. At the same time, seeing advancements in other technologies that may be really important for people, robotic technologies, lightweight devices that can help people do things. And so, you know, it's never fast enough if it's happening to you, but I think it's, you know, people just need to realize it's happening. And so there's a lot going on.
We do have one more question that just came in from a viewer, and she has a question about your dogs. All your animals.
Yes.
And it's Denise Johnson. Oh, it's my mom.
Oh, okay.
So she's watching. She's
Okay.
she's an occupational therapist.
Yes.
So she's very interested in this topic. She wants to know if your dogs are service dogs or buddies.
Just buddies.
But how many buddies do you have?
We have 4 animals.
He has had a service dog before. Yeah. We did have a service dog previously.
So you have 4 animals. You just came back from a cruise. You came here super early in the morning, and you're in the process of moving.
We are.
Houses. So you're not going through a lot at all.
No.
This isn't a lot on your plate. Dr. Mammon, take us home. What's your final thought?
All right. I have 2 comments I'll make. One is to the D&D community and others having rare diseases, genetic diseases. It's because of you that have put pressure on Congress to appropriate research for this dramatic change in our treatments for a variety of rare diseases and neuromuscular diseases. And so kudos to you guys, because you guys are the ones that have pushed the science, and we need to continue to move forward, and it's because of what the pressures that you have put on our government to enhance research. And the other comment is actually to my colleagues in cardiology that, you know, I think taking care of individuals like Riyan and other individuals with genetic disorders that affect their heart, there are a multitude of newer and novel therapies, and we should not be afraid to embrace these therapies. And cardiologists in general need to address this, especially with rare diseases. So.
Thank you for everything that you do, Dr. Mammon. Dr. Statlin, thanks for taking the time. Renee, Riyan, thanks for sharing your journey with us. What you're doing is brilliant, and we appreciate it. And thank you to our viewers for watching and joining the conversation. If you'd like to watch or share any one of our past episodes, just scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. That will take you to links of all of our past episodes. Coming up tomorrow, diagnosed with breast cancer at age 29 with a 13-month-old baby at home, Kat Robertson had the rug pulled out from under her. Learn her journey to being declared cancer-free and how her doctors got her to the finish line tomorrow at 8 a.m.